Live at St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and Steelers Training Camp 2025. It is Wednesday, August the 6th, day 15 on campus and day 11 of practice. No pads today, but a lot to unpack, including two-minute intrigue, an injury at QB, and some thoughtful observations from Aaron Rodgers. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Training Camp Live, brought to you by FedEx. I'm Mike Pursuta, joined by Max Starks. And, Max, we saw quite a bit yesterday, and we heard quite a bit from Aaron Rodgers just a little while ago, which we're going to get to here momentarily. But I was fascinated by the two-minute drill, because the first team got a first down this time.
Yes, they did.
And Aaron Rodgers not only got a first down, he moved the ball. He was in command, as Mike Tomlin would assess afterward. But after spiking the ball to kill the clock, he tried to thread one in to Roman Wilson, cornerback Brandon Eccles, who was getting run with the first team. Made a reach-around play that may or may not have been DPI, but he tipped the ball, and it was intercepted by Juan Thornhill. Any chance you further reviewed that and can tell us whether it was a penalty or not?
It was. It looked like DPI from the film when I watched it later. Hand was draped around the backside as he went for, the around move, and you can't do that, right? You can't slingshot yourself around and create an opportunity. But when you don't have refs out here, and they're not up to snuff, it's one of those things where you just have to just take it. Hey, we didn't make the play. We didn't make it clean enough. And once again, still practice. I imagine Aaron Rodgers will probably come back to something in a similar situation, and that'll be fortuitous for the team. But you got to play through all of those nicks and bruises. It's like when you go play pickup basketball, right? You call a foul, you better be ready to argue it out, and because there's no refs on the court. So I think the biggest thing was you saw consistency, you saw confidence, and you saw a team that's making the progress that's necessary to get towards Saturday, towards that first preseason game. You want to see those incremental things, mental mistakes start to fade away. I thought I saw a lot cleaner practice yesterday, and I thought that two-minute drill kind of highlighted the fact that it's getting cleaner for the offense. Guys are getting more comfortable with each other, which is always a key thing that you want to look for. And you see that it's not like a bunch of stuff that's just thrown at them and just praying something sticks. Now you're starting to see things start to build and layer.
Yeah, we saw the offense win 7 shots, 5-2. They had been struggling in that department for a couple of days. Team run, I thought I counted 1 tackle for a loss, which there have been multiple. The first time they did it, they should have called the drill tackle for a loss drill.
Because they didn't get any positive.
Yeah. The second time they did it, it got better, but it still wasn't crisp.
Yeah.
And yesterday I thought was good. I even thought I saw one run from Caleb Johnson, an outside zone, 1 cut, and the burst that I'm expecting to see on a regular basis out of this kid.
No, his vision is getting better and better. Not to say that it was bad when it started camp, but college vision versus pro vision are two different things. And there's no smaller schools. I think that's the best way of doing it without having to out anybody or call any school less significance. But there's no small school games here. Everybody's big school. Everybody's Power 4. Everybody's coming in and they're at their best. The guys are faster and stronger. So what you see as a running back is not necessarily going to be there when you blink your eyes. So if you believe it, you got to go with it, or you got to have a natural instinctual feeling. I think the instincts are starting to kick in for him. And like you said, that was a nice cut by him on the outside. I thought there was another great bounce out on the zone as well when it was supposed to hit up in the inside. I mean, I could say all these words and tell you the names of them, but I know it's not going to make any sense. So inside zone, off tackle, that bounced out to the slot, and it was another good play. So we're starting to see the recognition, also the offensive line, recognition of blocks and picking things up. They're not as quick to jump off of the first-level defender, which is that down lineman, and get up to the second level. They're now being more patient and working the down lineman and then scraping up to the guy. So you're starting to see a lot better, cleaner play and more professional play from all the guys on the offensive side of the ball.
For the record, I talked to Brandon Eccles today, and he said it was absolutely not defensive pass interference.
Would you expect him to say anything less?
I talked to Roman Wilson today, and he said, I'm not an official. I have to run a little cleaner route.
Once again, that's really a rookie-esque type of statement. Like, I don't want to piss off the vet type of deal. That's all that is. I'm not trying to get in a fight, right? It's like I'm here so I don't get fined type of deal. But, no, I will argue on his side. I thought it looked like DPI. From the film version that I saw, because we get, you get 2 different views. You get the wide view, you get the tight view. And I thought it looked like DPI because the hand was around on the backside.
I saw it live, and as it's been drilled into my head, and I was down on the field, it happens in the blink of an eye. I've been drilled by the great Gene Steratore about the bang-bang play on that call.
Yeah.
And how if it's that close, they don't call it. And it might be –
normally they don't.
Normally they don't. And I
feel like Joey Porter Jr. gets a different treatment with his
Well,
bang-bang.
maybe.
Yeah.
But I kind of filed that one as nice play, Eccles.
Yeah. Well,
bang, and you got away with it.
Once again, you got away with it. No flag was thrown, so
because Mike Tomlin does referee these things, these 2-minute drills.
He tries to, and sometimes he's a very judicious referee. Like you get that 5th opportunity on 4th down.
When the second team went yesterday, Skylar Thompson hit Robert Woods on a comeback to the pylon, and it looked like a touchdown to me. And Mike Tomlin said no, he's short because I think he wanted to see a snap or two from the 1-yard line.
Yeah, he did, no question. I mean, that's why I said he's very judicious. There's an agenda with him as the referee.
Woods, by the way, said he thought he scored.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he scored too.
Yeah.
Once again, all it has to do, the nose of the football has to break the plane.
Yep.
That's the rule.
Which looked like, that looked like a veteran savvy route to me. Like he really
he knew what he was
put
doing.
himself in position.
He's done that before.
Yes, he has.
He's done that before.
Yes, he has. Back to Rodgers. Max, some of the things he talked about 12:20 or so today. He's open to playing as Mike Tomlin sees fit in the preseason. Rodgers is open to practicing as Mike Tomlin sees fit, although he said he really enjoyed that day off that he got.
Yeah, wouldn't turn
anyone. Well, he said there was actually 2 because of the rain out day.
That doesn't really count. That doesn't count. He came out with the intention of wearing pads. That counts.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the vet counter. Now, as a rookie, rookie. Yeah, no, you got a day off. Remember the rain? Yeah, that was your day off. But no. When it comes to vets, when you look at Aaron Rodgers' days off versus Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt days off, he's very far behind the pole position,
But your other point intrigues me. If I'm home and I put my workout gear on and I say, I think I'm going to get on the treadmill, and then I don't, does that still count?
Exactly. It doesn't count. I mean, it doesn't count, sadly, especially at our age. Now, if you're a young kid, if you don't get on the treadmill, but I know you're going to run outside for 3 hours and not come back inside at all, well, it counts because I know you're going to do something to make up for it. But at our age, no, it doesn't count because, once I hit the couch, I'm plastered to it.
Some of the other topics Rodgers broached and observations Rodgers made today here at St. Vincent. He's trying to get wide receiver Roman Wilson, quote, out of his head. Aaron Rodgers sees more value in combined practices. Steelers going to work with the Tampa Bay Bucs next week.
Yeah.
Rodgers sees more value the way the game has evolved in the preseason with those type of activities than he does preseason games in terms of getting better from the activity. And he continues to emphasize the value he sees in his open door policy at training camp and all the off-the-field interaction with teammates. Also managed to throw wide receiver Ben Skoranek under the bus while he was doing that. So let's give a listen now to Aaron Rodgers, Steelers quarterback, here today at St. Vincent College. Aaron, is it less fuzzy this week?
I wouldn't say it was ever fuzzy. I might have said the image was fuzzy, but the plays are rolling off good, and I feel good about the offense, much better than last week.
Mike said he thought you were in command yesterday in 2 minutes. Did you have a similar feeling?
Yeah, we just got to get the refs back out there so we can get that call.
Did yesterday feel like things were clicking a little bit more for the offense? Like maybe that was a moment where the page was kind of turning?
Well, I mean, I think we've been clicking the last 3 or 4 days much better. Our defense, it's obviously we added a lot of pieces to it. Always early in camp with the pads going, the defense seems to have the upper edge, and then the second week it starts to turn a little bit. So I feel like we've been playing better the last week and a half.
Roman said that he really appreciated like working with you and learning and how to get better with you. What have you seen in him and just how he works and working to get better with you as a parent?
I would say Roman, just like Cal, and really all our guys, they really care about it. I noticed that when they came out west, just to see their attention to detail and their willingness to learn. So Ro, I just got to get Ro out of his head a little bit, because I think he's such a good kid. He cares so much about whether it's my approval or he's doing it right, and he just got to trust himself because he's so damn talented. The more he can play free and not think out there, the better he's going to play. So the more he can just trust what he's got and then just go out and react, the better he's going to play.
Aaron, what excites you most about playing in this offense?
It's really the relationship with Arthur. You know, to have a guy that we sat yesterday for like 2.5 hours, you know, just talking ball. And it's not all like X's and O's. It's, you know, it's storytelling from time to time, but he's not a rigid guy at all. You know, so anything that, ideas that I have or ideas that, you know, some of the receivers are giving to me to give to him, you know, everything is taken into consideration, which I really appreciate. And we're installing it. I mean, the last few days we've installed stuff that I've gone back and looked at from the past, or other guys have had you know, similar ideas, because we have a little open forum in my room. Anytime you want to come in and suggest something or get on the same page about something, let me know, because I'll take it right to heart. But I'm just really enjoying him a lot as a person, and just the way he leads in front of the room, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Aaron,
Have you offered any advice to Will now that he's kind of losing an opportunity in the preseason, most likely, and working his way back from injury?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It sucks for him for sure. But because he's had such a nice camp as a young player, and then watching him at mini camp and just seeing his, you know, command of the offense. But this year is a growth year for him. It's a year to watch and learn, and obviously better himself. This would just be a minor setback for him. You know, it would have been great to see him get some live reps in the preseason, but I'm not sure when he's going to be back. Hopefully he's back in time to take maybe the second or third game. But either way, you know, this is a year for him to grow and learn and get his body the way he wants to get it, and get ready to be the guy for a long time.
Aaron, would you want some reps in preseason? Is it something that you think there's some value for you with the new team?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting conversation. I think Mike and I will have that at some point. I don't think it's in the plan for me to play this week, but whatever Mike wants to do, I'm fully on board. If he wants me to go out there and play, I'll play. If not, then I won't. I've said a lot, you know, with all due respect, then I can say whatever I want. Preseason football is not necessarily real football, because the defenses just don't do a whole lot, and the offenses don't either. So you go out there with a very limited playbook against a defense that's playing one high zone, one high man, or two high zone. And there's not much pressure. There's oftentimes communication between the coaches about, hey, we're not going to pressure this week, or hey, we need to see a little bit of pressure. It's really about the operation. Now, that is where you can actually gain something from the preseason. Is you got 40 seconds, right? There's a play clock out here, but it's not always adhered to. So you have 40 seconds to call the play, to get the line of scrimmage, to get us in the right situation, and to go out and do it. And I think there's something to be gained for that. But as opposed to kind of when I got in the league, I would say, there's less schematic stuff that you're going to see in the regular season.
Aaron, where do you feel like you're at in terms of the chemistry building process with the receivers, and what goes into that both on and off the field?
Yeah, I mean, there's conversation. I think is the most important thing. So talking through every issue. Art's done a nice job of allowing me to take some time in some of the meetings to kind of go through the film with the guys. And they all have position coaches, which is important to get coached up by the position coach. But, you know, as parents, right, sometimes you tell your kid a bunch of stuff and they only get it when somebody else says it, and you're over there like, I've been saying this forever. That's kind of how it is for a position coach sometimes. So they tell them the right thing all the time, but it might not be until they hear it from me or hear it from Art where it actually kicks in. And that's just the nature of life and in our business. So it's good for me to speak up from time to time. And also you pull them aside in the locker room, pull them aside on the field, and then we've got our open forum in my room or one of their rooms after practice.
Aaron, were you trying to go to Wilson on that play, or did that coverage dictate that's where you throw the ball in the 2 minutes? Like, were you looking to give them a chance?
That was a coverage dictated that one. Yeah.
Aaron,
You
you
mentioned that preseason football isn't real football. Are you able to kind of supplement that with the joint practices? Is that more of a benefit than preseason football?
Yes, I believe so for the
Why?
first
What
team.
is the difference?
Because teams are, especially most of the joint practices, I would say, you're not going to play that team in the regular season. So they're less worried about showing things that they want to work on. And even though there usually are cameras there and it's filmed, they're less skittish about running the stuff they've been running all camp that they're going to try and do in the regular season against another team that you're not going to play in the regular season. So I've found those beneficial. as long as there's not a lot of fights, I think they're a good work day for the first team.
2 more guys, 2 more.
You're getting the right amount of work this camp as far as the reps. I think you've only had 1 day off. You feel you're getting what you need.
I love that 1 day off. Thank you, Mike, for that one. But we really got 2 days off if you look at it, because we got rained out that 1 day and did a walkthrough. Yeah. So I feel good. You know, I'm not begging for off days, but anytime Mike wants to lighten my load, I won't complain.
Last one. Guys, good?
Aaron, you mentioned that you opened your door for your teammates. Have you seen a lot of guys take advantage of that and feel comfortable coming to you with questions?
Yeah, I have. I think that's an important part of it, just letting those guys know that there's no dictatorship here. It's not Art's dictatorship or mine. It's we want to talk about all the issues and all the things you're seeing, and whether it's a text message or coming to my room and having a conversation, like those are invaluable times to get on the same page with the guys, because when I'm out there, I don't want anything to be left unsaid. So I'd rather hit it on the front end, and if then something comes out in practice, hit it on the back end instead of trusting it to get figured out on its own. So it's been a good process for us. Ben is the one that comes in the most. He doesn't really knock anymore, but that's Ben's personality.
Now, Max, Ben Skoranek said yes, he does too knock. He doesn't just barge in. But I think Aaron Rodgers might have said that because Ben Skoranek was walking by the scrum outside the locker room there. But, boy, his analysis of how preseason has changed versus joint practices, what did you think of that? I found that very interesting.
I thought it was very interesting. There we go. Air guitar action, okay, by Aaron Rodgers. He might be a fan of this song. I thought he'd be like a NBA Youngboy or Kendrick Lamar fan, but apparently he likes a little bit of rock. So, surprise, surprise, newsflash there.
He's a classic guy, so he likes classic rock.
He loves classic rock. No, but getting back to your question, no, I think the biggest thing is that he's seen the progression, right? He's seen what preseason was. He saw what training camp was and where it's at now. So when you evolve with that process, you know, he's allowed to kind of have more. This is hilarious, by the way. I'm glad we have this on the camera.
This is tremendous.
But, you know, you don't need the same amount of work, right? Athletes have evolved. Athletes train more year-round to be in better shape, better condition, and you don't need necessarily the same physicality that a preseason schedule brings. And I thought it was very candid when he talked about the joint practices. He's been a part of a number of those over the years, whether it's Green Bay, New York, and now, of course, we'll have one here at the Steelers over at Acrisure next week. It is a cool insight to know, hey, because you're not going to see this team in the regular season, you could be a little more forthcoming with kind of what you're doing ideology-wise. You could throw some things in there that might be in your regular season package just to see how it's going to go against it. It's a custom curated list. You have the session. You have the just like we see a practice script in the sections of it. You could script things a little bit more. What I've been kind of referring to as more base that we see in preseason, because you got a lot of guys that you're trying to trim the roster down to. So you have to do a lot of the same stuff so that you can do apples to apples comparisons with them. Whereas in a joint practice, your ones are practicing. They're kind of going on the same type of schedule. We got the first 4-6 plays of each segment. So now we can get a little more nuanced. We can do more things, and therefore it helps you glean and prepare yourself for the regular season. So, no, I mean, the one thing I do love is that Aaron is going to be thoughtful. He's going to be, in everything that he says, he's intentional in what he says. But he's also going to give you information that you can kind of sit there and digest and say, okay, I get that. And it makes perfect sense to do those type of things. So it was really cool to hear that. Like, I've never been a part of a joint practice. I played for the Steelers here for 9 years. I played in the league 10 years. And I never was a part of a joint practice my entire time in the league. And then what happens a couple years after I leave? They do a joint practice. And so I never got to experience that. So I can't wait till next week to actually see how that takes shape. And now I kind of have a mindset when I go into this, or a thought process, to then kind of expound upon what Aaron said.
They did this way back in Chuck Noll's time. Went down to Carlisle to practice against Washington. And this was back in the time when the Steelers just had the yellow jerseys and the black jerseys, and they didn't have names or numbers on them. And kind of ratty practice uniforms that, looked like Vince Papale's guys in Invincible, playing in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
And Steelers go down to Carlisle to take on Washington, and they're decked out in their dress blues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
The fancy uniforms, and they look great.
They look good, clean, and everything else. You got the Bad News Bears on the other side.
Steelers had a wide receiver named Ouija Thompson who observed, look, it's the Washington Redskins against Joe's Bar.
Yeah. In fact, Joe's Bar might have been nicer because at least he was paying for the uniforms, right?
But I was really interested to hear his take on that. Of course, the injury stuff relative to Will Howard came up. Mike Tomlin confirming yesterday that Will Howard hurt his hand. Tomlin thought it was a CQ exchange in practice yesterday. It's been reported Howard's going to miss approximately 3 weeks. Nothing official from the Steelers on that as of yet, but he's going to miss some games, if not all of them.
Yeah, and that's a sucky situation. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, you could say unfortunate. You could say, this is problematic on his process. Whatever you want to say, it sucks. Let's just be general. It sucks that a guy that was looking forward to getting a lot of time. He was going to get a lot of plays in this preseason to really get himself acclimated to the NFL game, and you lose those opportunities, right? You lose it especially in the near future with Jacksonville coming up and knowing that he was probably going to get the lion's share of those snaps in the game. And then, of course, what would have happened in Tampa Bay, a little bit less because Mason Rudolph might have gotten more, and we'll obviously see what Aaron will do in that second preseason game because he said he's available to Mike Tomlin for as much as he deems necessary. We know that in years past, that's usually been about 2 series in the last 4 years that he's been participating. So
first year with the Jets.
Yeah, first year with the Jets.
2 series in one of the games, and that was it.
And that was it.
Last year, Green Bay, nothing.
I think the year before,
and
though.
Last year with the Jets, nothing.
Yeah, so I think this would have been a great opportunity to get 2 series out of him, which I think that will probably be the Tampa Bay game. That's usually the dress rehearsal game. Yeah. We used to call it the third game in our 4 preseasons.
Plus,
but now
it's at home.
It's at home, too. You can kind of get the crowd excited for the beginning of the season. So he would have had a little bit less, but he still probably would have had the second half in that game. And then third preseason game, last one, he probably would have gotten a lot as well. So that's a missed opportunity. Of course, we don't know how long because that's an unofficial report about the 3 weeks. We don't know what the Steelers have in common. I said one of the craziest ones was, remember Justin Fields' first day of practice at training camp. He hurt his toe. He's out for the year. He's going to be done. He's done. He came back the next day. So I don't expect next day for Will Howard, but I wouldn't be surprised if he can get back by the third preseason game going into the regular season, possibly.
We could see Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson there. Skylar with the hat next to Mason. Those are the other 2 guys that can throw a ball at this point.
Yeah.
You think there's an arm on the way?
Yeah.
If just for these practices in the interim.
Got to get somebody out there, and we shall see. And then of course there's Will Howard in the all black in the hat on the far right. So he is out at practice at least, getting the mental reps. So that's a good sign for him. But I think, you need somebody to come in because you don't want to wear out Skylar Thompson. You don't want to wear out Mason Rudolph in this process because we already know what Aaron is. And like you said, whatever ceremonial reps he gets in the preseason, that'll be enough. And him and Mike will have that conversation. But you still need that third to fourth quarter. I guess you call him fourth quarterback in this situation. You need 3 other guys who can sling the football in the preseason.
How's your hose?
It's done. Yeah. I think it's got a couple knots in it. I think it actually, there's a tear on the side. I think I bent the little brass fitting that screws to the hose. So, yeah, it's a lot of rubber just sitting there.
The comments about Roman Wilson and, not just the play that ended up as an interception in 2 minutes, but I got to get Roman out of his head a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? What's he talking about there?
I think within any type of situation where you're making that jump, and for him, there's uncertainty because he wasn't at this point last year, right? Every rep he's taking every day now in the preseason is one more rep than he took last year. Once we got to pads last year, he was unavailable.
First day?
Yeah, so he was done. So
7 shots the first day.
Yeah, wasn't it like the third or fourth play?
Wide receiver sweep.
That's right. Good memory. And so every day he's taking out here on the field at this point is a new day, new opportunity, new information gathering. And he didn't make it to a preseason game. So getting ready, there's going to be a lot of nerves about your quote-unquote NFL debut in his mind because, yes, he did come in last year, and it was remember the whole catching the moving train type of deal, and he didn't catch it. So, there was a lot of downtrodden moments for him in year one. and this is really his second chance at a first impression. So you're going to be nervous. And you got Aaron Rodgers throwing you the football more often than not. So he's trying to build up his own confidence, and talking about getting him out of his head, you're thinking too much about the plays. You're counting your steps when you're a receiver. You're wondering where I'm at, counting how many catches I got versus how many opportunities or attempts I received. But, it was funny. I was talking with a longtime assistant coach in this league, Terry Rubisky, who's been out of practice the last couple of days. And he was saying that for a young guy, you got to build up his confidence. And this is a confidence-building game for him because you're going against Jalen Ramsey every day. You're going against Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr. Like, you're talking about top-level guys in the NFL, and you're not having as much success as you would normally have because of the expectation. So that's why I think for him, you can get inside of your own head. You can get mentally. If you start counting your reps and you start counting your completions versus the attempts, and you're like, man, I'm having a crappy camp. I only had 4 catches yesterday, but they threw the ball to me 10 times. But it's like, who was guarding you? Jalen Ramsey, guess what? Antonio Brown had a horrible day against Jalen Ramsey back in the day where he only caught 1 pass in practice. You know what I'm saying? Like in a game. So that's where you have to kind of measure that, and I think that's what Aaron's talking about with getting him outside of his head, is that he has to understand that there's levels to this, and your consistency and your habits are going to yield the success, not the numerical value in practice against top-level competition.
That's interesting because I would imagine that is easier said than done. It's human nature to kind of always assess what's going on around you. And I talked to Mason Rudolph earlier in training camp, 3rd or 4th day, and just kind of asked him where he is now versus where he had been previously. And he said his confidence is such now, Max, that he's not keeping score, is how he put it, anymore. I'm not worried about completions. I'm not looking around me. I don't feel like I'm fighting for a job. I'm just trying to get better. I'm trying to get the most out of every rep and every day and just let it build and let it naturally occur. But, a young guy, that's a hard-earned perspective, isn't it?
It is. It's tough to sit there and take that advice from a guy who's been in the league 20 years, and you're a second year really, you're a rookie plus, so to speak.
Did you do that? Were you looking around? You were a draft pick of renown, and there was obviously a plan. But did you look around? Okay, there's 8 other tackles, and this guy's getting this many reps, and I missed this block on this play. And do you beat yourself up like that throughout this process?
No, because I also knew they're going to draft a tackle every year, whether we need one or not. And so it was like I could worry or I could embrace it. And I more so took the challenge of embracing it, where I sat down with all of our tackles. And you can ask him to this day, Trey Essex, when he came in and we knew we were competing for the right tackle job. Trey, hey, man, let's watch film. Do you need any help with anything? Check in with him. Willie Colon as well. Same thing. Hey, Will, what do you need, man? Hey, let's do this. Let's make sure you're ready to rock and roll. Tony Hills, Jason Capizzi. I could name all these guys. Craig Urbick, when he came in, you didn't really know what Craig was going to be.
This is approaching total recall.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get all of those names in there, I can't worry about what the coach thinks of me. All I can worry about is how I do as a player and make sure that I'm doing the right things and I'm making progress, but I'm also not making the same mistakes twice. I think that's the biggest thing is don't make the same mistakes twice. That's how you curb that learning curve into your favor, is saying, okay, well, coach said this, I wrote it down. Don't do this today. Like, if all the days to do it, don't do it the very next day after he says it, and you continually get better. And so I didn't really have that. I think with the wide receiver room, secondary rooms, it can be a lot more daunting because you see a lot of guys, and there's very generalized positions, right? You have cornerback. That's it. There was no left or right corner, and one's here or the other. You're traveling on both sides of the field. So if I got 14 guys in the room, just like I have the receiver room, I just got to be able to know everything. I got to be able to flip both sides. So it's tough, but I'm glad that someone like an Aaron recognizes that because he's had all these receivers that he's had to deal with over the years. So he can spot the signs and hopefully calm those guys down. So for him to say, hey, I need to get it outside of his head, he can also look at, I'm sure, like a young Greg Jennings, right? A young Jordy Nelson when he was there. And then, of course, you look at, getting a Garrett Wilson type. He can see those things in young guys and kind of give that. That's where experience comes in and plays in your favor.
Given that open door policy that Rodgers keeps emphasizing, would you suspect that they've already had that conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Rodgers and Wilson about Wilson getting out of his head.
Yeah, I'm sure Roman
This isn't one of those deals where Rodgers throws it out to the media and says, okay, he'll hear it.
And hopefully the message gets back to him. No, I think it's one of those where, as he said, Ben Skoranek will just walk in his room and won't knock on the door. I'm sure
Ben
Aaron
says he knocks. Ben
says he knocks. We'll see. I mean, I have seen it happen through that. But I think this is one where Aaron said, hey, after meetings, come on to my room. I need to talk to you. He probably told him to come to the room or went up in his room, one or the other. But I think that conversation's already been had. As
luck would have it, we heard not only from Aaron Rodgers today, but also the guy we've been detailing here, Roman Wilson. So let's give a listen to what he had to say at St. Vincent College today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Camp Convo presented by UPMC Health Plan. I'm Missy Matthews with Roman Wilson. And take me through today's practice. You guys had the day off, back in pads today, and the offense was doing some good things.
Yeah, first day back, just trying to hit the ground running. It was a pretty good day for everyone, a lot to learn from. Just feeling good out here. It was a nice, beautiful day out here, so let's take advantage of it.
Take me through 7 shots and your touchdown.
A little bit of a scramble drill. He gave me a chance. I just had a nice catch in the back of the end zone.
In terms of working with the different quarterbacks, where do you feel like you're starting to hit your stride with each of them since they're different?
Yeah, I had a lot of time off last year, and, it's been nice to have these first couple of weeks to get back to football again. Just getting on the same page of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, there's so much to learn from a guy like that. He's got so much knowledge and wisdom, and, I'm just trying to get to his level.
In terms of it being game week, is there excitement, pressure? What's the mood in terms of you personally, as you know that you can finally go against a different team soon?
Yeah. Pretty excited, but trying to stay calm and poised. Just be consistent. If I can come in practice and I can go hit the game like that, I'll be all right. And it's just go out to the game this week and hopefully make some big plays.
How much has Calvin Austin helped you going through a similar situation of getting injured during his rookie season?
Yeah, I mean, he's helped me a lot. It's kind of weird to say this, but he's been right there with me the whole time. He's giving me a lot of advice, encourages me a lot, helps me out with football things. I mean, he's really like a big brother to me. He's a really good guy.
Have you started to think about what Saturday will be like, or are you just going to let that happen once you get into that stadium?
I mean, I pretty much watched all the games last year. It just kind of, it's just football. It's just football, so it'll be good.
All right, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was actually Roman Wilson yesterday with Missy Matthews, our camp convo after yesterday's practice. Illegal procedure by me, setting that up as having been recorded today. So I'll take the 5 yards and make it up later.
Yeah, we'll just move the drill up. It's okay.
But Missy did mention the touchdown that Roman Wilson had, Max, and I thought it was significant. Really nice play. Diving catch with James Pierre in coverage in the back of the end zone. And as Wilson allowed a little bit of a scramble drill, we're seeing Aaron Rodgers still able to make plays on the move and throw on the run and get it there. But we're also starting to see Roman Wilson show up. I mentioned to you on one of our previous shows, kind of the way I watch practices, I let the guy grab my attention. I'm trying to look at everything, and whoever flashes. And we saw that great play he made against Joey Porter in one-on-ones where he went up and high-pointed it and came down in the end zone. We saw that play yesterday. We've seen these plays starting to occur with more regularity. We're not seeing a ton of them. You're not, at least I'm not, walking away from these practices thinking, boy, number 10 really lit it up, man. He's on fire. He's the guy. But I can see him getting to be the guy.
Yeah, he's making more and more plays and getting more and more comfortable with the quarterback, with the offense. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, my God, Roman Wilson's going to be the next number 1 receiver here. Because obviously we have a DK Metcalf for that right now. But he's a guy who can be a consistent contributor, kind of like Calvin Austin came on the scene a year ago. Now, he's not a punt returner. Well, I don't think he's a punt returner. We'll see, because obviously we have no punt returners except for Scott Miller right now on the roster going into Jacksonville. Who knows? Maybe Roman Wilson gets a couple of punts, but the opportunity to kind of be something more and show off his skill set, I think, is what I'm really looking forward to. But it all starts Saturday. That's where we'll start to see. And all of these practice reps, hopefully they lead into stadium success in the process.
Well, you mentioned punt returner. We're not sure of Calvin Austin's status. Mike Tomlin's got a press conference scheduled for tomorrow at noon, and usually that's when he tells us who will play, and then he when he says we're going to leave the door open for this guy, and this guy, they're probably not going to play.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a very, very Tomlin-esque type of thing to say. And, we've had 2 decades to kind of understand what his lingo is in language.
I get it. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, you're not going to say no, but, no type of deal.
If it was a different language, I'd say I'm fluent in Tomlin after all this time.
Yeah, exactly. Tomlinism is its own type of place on the Rosetta Stone.
And you mentioned punt return without number 19 back there yesterday. They were working on catching some punts, and we saw number 13, Scotty Miller. We saw number 16, Robert Woods, which surprises me because he's a veteran, not a young guy. We saw number 85, who is a receiver from Indiana.
Yeah.
Your friend and mine, Keyshawn Williams, as I scan the roster here.
Yeah.
And also number 34, wide receiver, running back, special teamer, wannabe linebacker, want to do whatever they ask him to do.
Yeah, just
Max Hurleman from Notre Dame.
Yeah. Listen, he's the quintessential use me guy. Like, I don't care where it is, just make sure you do. And
Dante Kent, the draft pick, the 7th rounder, has not been available.
He was actually the one that was originally slated to get all of these reps, per Coach Danny Smith talking about it. And then, of course, with his injury during Friday Night Lights, actually, that's what has sidelined him. We're obviously waiting for his recovery, but he was supposed to get the lion's share of the returns come Saturday night. That's why we're having this conversation right now, because we know who Cal Austin is, we know who Scotty Miller is. But do we know who that now third guy is? Because those first 2 guys are unavailable to you.
I'll tell you what Danny Smith wants first and foremost. I asked Mike Tomlin during this camp if Calvin Austin evolves as a very capable receiver, would they think of taking him off punt return? And Mike Tomlin's response was no. He likes him there. He thinks Austin is determined and endeavoring to be the best in the world, and he's taking steps in that direction. But I know what Danny Smith wants most is a guy who catches the ball.
Yes, ball security is number 1.
And Dante Kent had some issues this spring
Yeah.
along those lines. So, you know, I was asking aloud, why is Woods back there? Well, if you catch it, that's a win. And now you're just looking for cherry on top of the sundae with the return stuff.
Exactly. You're just looking for a little extra piece of the pie. Looking for an extra little crust, you know. But you want to get a sure-handed guy back there. Even though Dante Kent had some problems in the spring, we also know collegiately he was an excellent punt returner. So it's like you want to see if that can actually come out. If the lights turn on, does it get even better than just out at the field in practice where you're probably a little bit distracted. You're still trying to your head swimming from the playbook and everything else, if he can lock in and do that. But we won't get to see that this weekend, so we'll get to see somebody else in that role securing the punt, not necessarily returning the punt.
Do you think Hurleman is getting himself into conversation somewhere?
I think somewhere. I think that's probably the biggest thing is that he's a utility guy, and he can do a lot of different things. You know, jack of all trades. There is a place for a jack of all trades in this league. You don't have to be a master of one or a master of anything. You can be a jack of all trades, and that utility allows you to fit within the construct of the team. So I think he's very intriguing as a piece of somebody that can do it all. And I'm going to be interested to see how they deploy him in this first preseason game. You know, is he going to be the returner guy that's going to get a nod now he has opportunity? What type of offensive reps is he going to get? And, I mean, heck, do you even throw him in on defense just because you need some bodies because you got some injuries on that side of the ball? I don't know, but I think it's going to be very intriguing come Saturday night.
Yeah, and you know, if he can contribute on special teams, those are usually in transition from one season to the next because guys move up or they move on, and you have to replace those core guys.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if it's a guy that can return, so if you do have to elevate a Calvin Austin to more of a full-time receiver role because he's taking the number 2 spot, and you need to save him because you still got a hefty divisional schedule, who's to say you can't throw in a guy like Hurleman to come in and just catch punts? And if he's not catching punts, he's still in the core 4 action of kickoff return and kickoff coverage teams as well, and not just a single role within the punt structure of return.
We mentioned our perception from yesterday that the offense was taking some steps forward. Now, we should point out those steps were taken. Jalen Ramsey wasn't practicing.
Yeah.
Alex Highsmith wasn't practicing. The cornerbacks, Joey Porter and Darius Slay, practiced very little or not at all.
Yeah.
So there were some different names out there, but there were also some significant names out there. One, T.J. Watt.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Not every team's going to have the lineup that we have. You know, I'm thinking about, we talked to Frank Frangie, who's the play-by-play guy for Jacksonville earlier on our. Well, biggest needs is defensive tackle, and we don't know who the who the outside backers are going to be for our team. Our team is in a very, and as I listen to him talk, our team's in a very fortunate situation. We have tremendous, not just good, we have tremendous depth on the defensive side of the ball. And when you roll out those front line guys and you're like, holy crap, not everybody has that. And a lot of people are looking for that. And we were going through the entire roster breakdown. There is going to be a potential starter on this team that gets released from us and starts elsewhere. I think of Jacoby Windman as a prime example down there in Carolina. So, you know, when you go into our practice, it's a lot different. And we're not going to talk about that. Was it a school? I know it was a state-sponsored school. Is that what it is? Is that what they call it, state-sponsored education?
State school, yes.
A state school.
Opportunity for all.
Yeah. Well, apparently they let anybody in there. No.
No, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And why is it so deep is because I don't know if we talked about this already or not on these shows. They're all starting to run together because it's State 15.
Exactly.
But number 1, number 4, and number 5, Derek Harmon, Jack Sawyer, and Y.A. Black.
Yes.
Keepers.
Yeah,
Impact
absolutely.
rookies, right?
Impact rookies on the defensive side of the ball especially. And then you still got to throw in a Caleb Johnson as well. So when you get impact from the rookie position and you draft well year in and year out, it gives you the opportunity that I don't have to go jump and find the most expensive free agent, the shiniest toy, and I don't have to go and trade away my future because guys are falling to us that we still have highly rated that fit our system and our scheme. So that allows you more versatility in the future. We had a lot of money available. We had the cheapest quarterback room a year ago. I would argue we still have probably one of the cheapest this year, easily.
It's certainly a bargain when you consider what they're paying the 4-time NFL MVP.
It is. And then what you paid a previous MVP and Super Bowl winner and Russell Wilson. And so now that gives you more room to go get DK Metcalf. That gives you room to go get Jalen Ramsey late. I mean, we're talking about, a week and a half before training camp, we signed Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. Like, those are the things that happen when you draft well. You don't have to reach, and you don't have to expend additional resources to fill out your roster.
T.J. Watt is easing into things. He called it a slow ramp up, a slow build, and he's fine with doing it that way because he believes he has the defense down now and he's not learning anymore.
No.
He's just trying to make sure he's ready for September 7th and beyond.
Punch out in sacks.
I can remember a couple years ago, Max, when he would get cranked up out there, they couldn't run plays.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't block him, and it was screwing up the period because he kept blowing up rep after rep.
Yeah. No, and it's a good thing that he's now become the old bull. He'll just saunter down the hill, type of deal. And I think that's where age comes experience, and you realize in order for me to get good work, it doesn't mean I have to ruin the drill for everybody. There's 22 guys on the field. I can't take it on myself to be the only one. I screw up for 21 other people trying to do their jobs and trying to learn their jobs. So there's a maturity there that he's now embraced. You see it now starting to manifest itself where I don't have to run 100 miles an hour because it's a long season. I don't want to blow up my gas tank right in the first 100 miles of a 300-mile race. Like, I need to be able to conserve for the long haul because I'm sure he wasn't happy with the way the season ended on his side, and just doing as much as he did and then kind of wearing down at the end, and everybody felt worn down. So he's trying to pace himself because he knows I've got to get beyond potentially 17 games. I got to get beyond 18 games in the season, and they're all striving, not counting the preseason because I know it's 20 games total if you count the preseason, but I'm talking about regular season and postseason. The ideal goal is to get it to 21 or 20. So you got to save enough in the tank for that.
There's been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion since last season ended about Watt maybe flipping sides. He did that a tiny bit last year. And it actually paid huge dividends against the New York Football Giants because Daniel Jones forgot where he was and didn't shift the protection. And then it was sack, strip, fumble recovery, ball game. T.J. Watt said they're working on it. It's a possibility. He didn't sound like he was the guy who was champing at the bit to move all over the formation the way Myles Garrett does. He said he's very comfortable where he is, And the way they're working this, Max, according to TG, he wants to practice one side one day, and if he switches, he wants to do that the other side a different day, not go play here, play there.
Yeah, and I mean, and you also have to respect that, right? I mean, it would be like an offensive tackle, you know, in my position. Hey, guys, I know I'm your right tackle, but I need to go get a day at left tackle every week. You know, if you're going to do it, just wholesale, you know, swing me over there. No. T.J. Watt had his success from rushing from one side of the ball. He didn't have to switch like another guy that's across the state lines here in Ohio. He didn't have to do that. That's what Myles Garrett had to do because he couldn't play the same position consistently. They were trying to find the weakness to give him an advantage versus saying, all right, I got to take on Joe Thomas every day. That's just what it is, like a James Harrison. I'm not trying to run away to the other guy that might be on the other side that's a little bit weaker competition. No, I'm going to take whoever you throw at me, and they line up over there. Guess what? They're going to get it all day. And I'm going to make my plays. I don't care how many times you try and overshoot or trying to overload the side of the protection to take me out of it. He still makes a success. And I think that's something that's rare in this league because, like you said, everybody's trying to flip. Everybody's trying to find the weakness. He's like, I don't care if it's a weakness or the strength. I'm going to make it a weakness.
Our buddy Wolf used to call that guy the duck. You're looking for the –
Yeah, you're looking for the duck.
Keep lining up
Fresh
in front
fish.
of O-linemen until one of them quacks and then attack.
Yeah, and that's the one that you want to go after. And TJ said, I don't care if he barks. I don't care if he chirps. I don't care if he does whatever he wants. He can neigh, but I'm going to turn that guy into dinner. And that's the mindset I'd like to have with him because, yes, and now you don't want also the saying of, oh, look, he's doing what Myles Garrett does. He's trying to get more plays. You don't want that type of comparison either. TJ is a one-side guy, and I don't mind it. I get there's some schematic things where you can take advantage of overloads like we saw. We saw that three-linebacker look that we saw last year where we had Herbig, Watt, and Highsmith all lined up to the same side with one D lineman. That's cool as a change-up gimmick type of thing, but not an everyday thing.
You know, one of the things Watt talked about yesterday, Max, was, you know, they're looking for more sacks. That's obvious. And we're seeing a lot of press man coverage work out here.
Yeah.
Way more than we ever have. Or back far enough that I can't
to remember. Yeah.
That's got to help, right? Because if you can disrupt the timing and make the quarterback hold it, you don't give Patrick Mahomes the catch the shotgun snap and with a corner 10 yards off the guy to the left.
Now route you to death.
Throw it 5 yards to the left and it's 2nd and 5.
Yeah.
Take that out of the equation. But also we are seeing more from a pass rush component or capability from the inside guys, Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson. And Watt talks about how both of those guys are in their 2nd year in the system. They're different stages of their career. Queen is an established veteran. Wilson is in his 2nd NFL season. But I expect a lot more out of those guys, a lot more splash. And as Watt explained it, if they can rush up the middle, now you got a better chance of getting either a one-on-one outside or maybe a blown assignment and a free run.
Yeah, or you just get flow to them. They can force flow to the outside guys, which makes it a lot easier. No matter how good the tackle is, if I can reach over his shoulder and affect the quarterback, which I think that's what that interior pressure, because what does a quarterback hate the most? He hates push up the middle.
Yes.
Tom Brady famously used to say, I will take edge pressure all day, but don't get in my face. That's what you want to create with Peyton Wilson and with Patrick Queen. That's why I think there's been a different emphasis in the backs-on-backers drill about being more on the line of scrimmage and coming through the line and attacking that and forcing the quarterback off of his spot sooner to where now you can let those guys off the edge, the hungry hippos, do their work and go gobble the ball up, you know?
And, you know, you take that step up away, and now the edge guys have a chance to eat because that's the easiest way to avoid it.
Easiest way. Put him on the tracks. You know, the outside linebackers have a track, right? And they're trying to shorten the track. And as an offensive tackle, I'm trying to put him on the track to get him 9 yards deep. Well, if you get a guy forced out before he can get to his drop, guess what? The tracks now are at 5 yards. Tracks are now at 6 to 7 yards. So whereas a tackle, I'm worried about turning the point at 6 and 7. Now that worry about my quarterback being there, that makes it very jarring. And like you said, it makes it for an easier day for the defense.
Okay, what is this drill? Oh, we just went away from it. They were doing the tennis ball thing with the wide receivers.
It's a focus and ball security thing. So you have the ball secured on one side, but you're also using your hands. So it's almost like a pseudo kind of reaction drill, like to stiff arms. That's kind of what it is.
It wasn't like warm up dance moves or anything.
It was no. It was no Heinz Ward Dancing with the Stars drill.
T.J. Watt also was singing the praises of Jack Sawyer, as you would expect. And I got to tell you, Max, I thought that guy was a real good pick where they got him, and I thought he was a real good player at Ohio State, and I thought he had some TJ-like characteristics in that he has the clutch gene, at least he did with the Buckeyes, rising to the occasion. But, man, he's bigger than I thought he was. And all this run he's getting when Watt takes some time off. Who's out there with the ones, number 33?
Yeah, getting a lot of play. And then we looked at the depth chart yesterday, and they had him listed at the same level with DeMarvin Leal, right? You're like, wait a second, hold up. You know, first of all, Leal's not on the defensive line depth chart. No, he's on the outside linebacker depth chart, and he's tied with Jack Sawyer. So I think that's something that you look at and you say, you know what? That's a good sign for a rookie, is to be up there. And like you said, he's gotten a lot of reps because TJ's been out of practice, because we know who TJ is and the slow ramp up. But I'm really excited to see what he does Saturday night as well, off the edge, getting an increased opportunity, especially when you talk about either putting him opposite Leal or opposite Herbig in those situations.
You know, I saw him, I listened to Mike Tomlin after practice yesterday, and I was walking back here to come back up the hill. He was down in the corner of the practice field, and he had at least 7 pairs of shoulder pads.
Yeah.
And I said, how many you got? He goes, I lost count. I said, boy, one minute you're running with the ones, and the next minute you're carrying everybody's pads back to the locker room. And he said, hey, life is a rookie.
Yep, exactly. And he embraced it. I was down there by him as well. He's like, where's an intern? I need a car. There's too many pads. and I just look and I laugh, and I'm like, as much as things change, things don't change. And that's why you come here to Latrobe, because you knew this is the Forge, and you still got to be a rookie. Still, at least he didn't have helmets. I had to carry shoulder pads and helmets. At least they come down, they take the jerseys off of the guys, so it's just shoulder pads.
Yeah.
And then the helmets, the vets actually carry their own helmets, so at least it's just shoulder pads. I mean, at one point, if you want, you could probably stack them up on your shoulders yourself and then use your helmet to kind of carry all the rest of them, but still a rookie at the end of the day.
Yeah, he said it's not every day. They kind of rotate it around. But
yeah. But
I'm sure once you became a veteran, you enjoyed inflicting such torture.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Willie had to carry my pads. I mean, you know, I remember famously having Tony Hills and the entire offensive line dump their pads for him to carry them up. I mean, we had to go. Ramon Foster had to carry pads as well. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. We made Pouncey carry pads. So, I mean,
wow.
It's a rite of passage.
You made Pouncey carry pads.
Yeah.
Did he protest?
I mean, he did. But what say do you have?
Well, I don't know. Pouncey's got a lot to say.
Not back then.
Not back then.
Not back then. Once he got deemed Little Chief and he became, you know, the Joe Green Good Performance Award MVP for the team, you know, as a rookie, then he could have that. You know, he has a cachet. But year one, you're just Marquise Pouncey from University of Florida. You're not Marquise Pouncey, which now is up for his first time Pro Bowl Hall of Fame. Pro Football Hall of Fame nod and everything else. That he had to go through that process to get there. And I think that also set him up for future success, because he understood that there's a rite of passage that's necessary.
That's going to do it for us today. I want to thank everybody for finding us, however and wherever you found us on the Steelers social media platforms. Max will be back tomorrow with Missy Matthews. Until then, for Max Starks, I'm Mike Pursuta. This has been Training Camp Live, brought to you by FedEx. Good afternoon, everybody.